Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Phi and this is Money Philosophy. Thank you for coming back to another day of Tesla analysis. Today we will go over Tesla technical analysis, but we will also take a look at other technology stocks and the QQQ in general to understand whether or not we have an opportunity for a reversal here. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I am a growth stock investor and a trader, and I'd love to share with you my investing and trading journeys. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Here's the daily chart for Tesla, which is the chart that we will start with today. Tesla ended the day at $932, up $10 and over 1% for the day. The daily chart looks to be consolidating for the last week and a half after a reversal that happened at the end of January. So taking a closer look at this daily chart, you will see that Tesla is still below 50 days SMA, and 50 days SMA is now adjusted to $1,002. 200 days SMA is still at $821, which is currently a very strong support for Tesla, but Tesla is about $110 above that. So for right now, I don't foresee Tesla falling back down there anytime soon just yet, unless we have any bearish catalysts. Looking at this particular daily chart alone, it seems to be in consolidation range anywhere between $936 down to about $904. That is Tesla consolidation range. Today's candle is definitely promising, especially it ends at around the indecision area here. And the hope is that Tesla will spike above previous high, which was 946, and get to all the way up to $967. If it could get there and stay slightly above 967, then I have hope that it will then reclaim 50 days SMA, which is now at $1,002. The volume for today was only 62%. So for the entire day, Tesla only had 62%, which is very low for the day. And Tesla has been consistently meeting or exceeding 100% volume over the last few weeks, except for the last 3 days. So it is a little bit worrisome that the volume isn't there. But at the same time, it is expected that after earnings, we're sort of in a holding pattern, waiting for any kind of announcement out of Berlin and Austin. I do think that at some point in the near future, we will have certain catalysts such as analyst upgrades, or again, Berlin and Austin could create a potential bullish wave here. But until we get there, Tesla is just going to move sideways. Tesla arguably has a symmetrical triangle here, and today's candle seems to be a breakout of that triangle. So with a symmetrical triangle, usually it means that the stock could break out in either direction, so it's still a 50-50. It doesn't really tell us anything up until yesterday, but with today's candle, one can argue that it has broken out of that symmetrical triangle and the odds now favor the upside. I'm not too quick to jump to that conclusion just yet because the volume is very low given the bullish price action today. After all, Tesla was up over 1% today, but the volume was just barely 62%. So I will have to wait for the price action tomorrow. If Tesla has a big jump tomorrow and ends the day right around $960 or above, then that would be a confirmation of a bullish breakout. The trading range for tomorrow on the upper end, we're looking at $959. The middle pivot point is $933, and the bottom pivot point is $919. All three pivot points are above $904, which is really good, which means that if it adheres to these three pivot points, then Tesla definitely has another leg up for another mini run nonetheless for tomorrow. If you look at the price action for today based off of the hourly chart, you can see that it started out with a gap up, but it quickly filled that gap, went down to the negative a little bit, and then start reversing. Tesla seems to fill the gap a lot, which means that if it does have either a gap up or a gap down, we could wait for it to fill the gap first before it picks a good direction to move forward. So based off the candles, this is the 15-minute chart for the last 3 days, I want to say. almost every day it has a little bit of a spike at the beginning of the day, at least the first 15 minutes, and then it start retracing. So it's important to note that while there are a lot of enthusiasts and buyers that are interested in buying Tesla, there's also a healthy amount of seller that is trying to suppress the price down. And this is so because we don't really have major catalysts for the stock to run, and you keep having a healthy amount of sellers and buyers and traders that are trading the stock on a regular basis, right? But in the future, when Tesla has any kind of catalyst, then I do believe that returning back to the 1,000 is a very achievable target. Looking at the weekly chart here, so we can see that Tesla is still making an inside candle from 2 weeks ago. So the week of earnings, the weekly candle ranged from the upper end at $982 down to the bottom of about $794, give or take. And the last 2 weeks, including this week, Tesla has been moving, trying to move toward the upper end of that previous high, $980 something, but it has not been able to. The 50 weeks SMA right now is at $974. So unsurprisingly, Tesla bounced right off of that white line right here, which is the 50-week SMA, which essentially is 1 year average for the stock, right? It bounced right off of that in the last low that it made. Also on this weekly chart, you can see that there's a multi-top situation, very much like the daily chart. So one top here, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5 tops had a rejection at the top, and particularly at 1189, it has been rejected 3 times. At 1105, it has been rejected at least 3 to 4 times as well. So I do think that these serve as very strong resistance for Tesla on the way up. But before Tesla can get there, it needs to first get through 967, and then the next would be $1,002. Then maybe it could potentially get back to 1050, and then above that it will run into a couple of more resistance. Without a major catalyst, I don't think Tesla could resume bullish or make a new all-time high, although making a new all-time high is very probable for Tesla this year. I just don't know if it could happen in the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks. For right now, the next foreseeable and scheduled catalyst would be Q1 delivery result, which won't be announced until the first week of April. Although I sincerely hope that Tesla will get at least Austin up and running before the end of Q1. As a quick update, my Tesla Model Y is now delayed to March 2nd through March 30th delivery. I do think that Tesla will make every attempt to deliver this vehicle before the end of the quarter. Ideally, I'd like to see Tesla update this particular timeline to maybe end of February instead. I do have friends who are scheduled to take delivery of the Tesla end of February as well. So it seems like the people in the West Coast started to get a little bit more traction with their delivery status. Also for my parents' Model 3, it is also moved up from October timeline, which is the standard range Model 3, to about April or May of this year. So that's also good news. But given the long wait list that Tesla has, I see that Tesla definitely need Austin to ramp up to provide Tesla with additional source of supply. I think that Q1 is going to be an amazing quarter as well, and very possibly another record quarter, despite the fact that it is the first quarter of the year. So what's the outlook for Tesla stockholders and option holders at this point? If you have leap call options that are a few weeks out, and if you were like me, you enter when Tesla hit below $800, you are still in the green, and we're just waiting for Tesla to spike higher with a lot of cushion to the downside, right? Tesla could go all the way down to below $800 for us to break even. So we do have a little bit of house money, if you will, to wait out for the next few weeks. If you are shareholders, I'd say this is also a good opportunity for adding shares. Anytime Tesla is under 1,000, that is an excellent opportunity to add shares. If you think long term, a year, 2 years, 3 years out, Tesla could easily be a $3,000 stock, right? And so right now it is less than a third of the price, in my opinion. And so it's a great opportunity to load up the stock. Right now, Tesla is delivering, give or take, about 1 million vehicles last year. If you look at this particular company ramping up to 20 million vehicles in the next decade or so, I think $3,000 is a very conservative number. And that's not even looking into FSD, high margin revenue or anything like that. We're just looking at strict vehicle delivery, the ability of Tesla to scale volume production as well as continuously improving its operations to increase margin per vehicle. Let's take a look at Facebook. We'll start with the weekly chart, which I know is unconventional for this channel, but let's start there. We note that last week, Facebook reached oversold territory even on the weekly level. And over the last 3 days of this week, Facebook has been making a reversal candle. It is now resting on 200 weeks SMA, which is this red line right here. That is about 4-year moving average for Facebook, right? If you think of 52 weeks a year, round number 50 weeks a year, 200 weeks would be, give or take, 4-year average for Facebook. So this is extremely good opportunity to buy into Facebook if you believe in the fundamentals of Facebook. At the same time, it is also a possible opportunity for trading. So let's go back to the daily chart. So today's Facebook had 255% in volume. It moved up over 5% today. Obviously, with a stock that has been dropping vigorously down substantially from its all-time high, I think that Facebook has a lot to do to make it back to where it was. But keep in mind that Facebook has a gap to fill, and to fill that gap, it needs to get back to about $315. That is $85 from here, give or take. So I think that Facebook will eventually get back up there to where it was, especially at 50 days SMA at $316 first before it gets anywhere higher. So as a shareholders in Facebook, I will continue to buy Facebook shares, even though it has been very painful seeing Facebook drop 20 to 25% over the last couple of days. But that does not discourage me from average down into Facebook and buy more shares of this company. From a trading standpoint, the volume is very interesting today. I definitely would like to consider adding calls for the next couple of days. For you guys traders out there who are interested in trading Facebook, I think $220 was a decent range for it to jump. I had hoped that Facebook would bottom out at around 210, but it did not get that far down. It bounced a little bit today. There's no guarantee that it will continue spiking tomorrow. It all depends on futures and the technology sector. But it has the potential to move up to $256 before retracing back down. So that is the short-term momentum for Facebook right now, especially it has this kind of volume. Shopify right now is at the good juncture to go long. It did fill the gap from $834 to $817. This was a gap that was created almost like a year and a half ago that I still keep track of. To be honest, there's still another gap down to $742, give or take, down here that Shopify has yet to fill. Given that Shopify is making a W like this, which is like a double bottom here, it will probably go up first before deciding to revisit the lower gap, if ever at all. But I think that Shopify has potential to get back up to $1,024 within the next couple of days if the bullish momentum is there. The only caveat is that the volume for today was only 66%. So for perspective, compared to Tesla at 62%, Shopify's volume is not much better either. And if you notice, the yellow line here has been the average volume for the last 30 days. Shopify has almost always hit 100% all the time with some rare exceptions, right? Except the last 2 days, it did not hit 100%. However, the volume is predominantly buy volume if you look at the actual bar down here. So I think that Shopify has potential to spike further given the right volume. It does need volume tomorrow and the day after. And given the fact that its earnings going to happen next week sometime, I think toward the back half of this week, starting tomorrow and through Monday and Tuesday of next week, Shopify will definitely have volume. And my hope is that it would resume above 1,000, beginning with $1,024. And then after that, it will be $1,082. And then to return back to 50 days SMA, it needs to get back to $1,200. That is a big ask from $924, but if you do have time, Shopify can do wonder, and it can get there depending on the overall market momentum. So to summarize with Shopify, either it would go up vigorously the next couple of days and bypass resuming and ignore the bottom gap here, or it will revisit the bottom gap here at around 740 before spiking further. And if it does revisit, then that would be a good opportunity for an earnings call play. But if it doesn't revisit there, then it could get to above 1,000, and a call options between now and 1,000 is also good. The issue now is to gauge volume in the morning and every single morning in order to find a good point to enter. Another thing about Shopify is that it tends to fill the gap at open. So even if it opens with a gap up or gap down, it will eventually fill that gap. So when it is bullish like this and it opens with a gap down tomorrow, say $10 gap down, so it opens at 914 or 915. That's an excellent opportunity and a fairly safe opportunity to enter a call option for a couple of weeks out and potentially capitalize on the current bullish momentum based on the daily here, plus that particular gap down gives us an opportunity to buy option with cheaper premium. I lean toward the upside for Shopify at this point. Google represents an interesting case as well. Today's volume was 95%, which is fairly good given that other technology stocks were not anywhere near 80%, and Google made it to 95%. Once again, Google is one of a very strong fundamental company that I would like to hold long term. Google is a really good alternative to cash, in my opinion. In my opinion, Google and Apple are as good as cash. Obviously, I'm a very aggressive investor, so don't treat this as investment advice. If you love cash, there's nothing wrong with that. And Google is definitely not cash in its literal sense, but in my mind, the investment is just as safe. Now, Google is now returning to above 50 days SMA. 50 days SMA for Google was 28.17, and it ended today at 28.31. After Google gapped up after earnings and the split news and retraced to fill the gap at 27.54. So now it's not only filled that gap, but also reclaim 50 days SMA at 28.17. I think Google is heading back up. Where does Google go from here? I think the first destination would be back up to about 2,900, and then it could potentially get back up to the opening after the earnings was released, which was around $29.50. The all-time high for Google was $3,031. So it is entirely possible that Google will get back there within the next week or so, assuming macroeconomics environment cooperate. You have an opportunity for adding shares in the call options, and I think if you are looking at call options, 2,900, 3,000, or 3,100 would be proper strike. Keep in mind that Google is supposed to have the split 20-1 split by July of this year, 2022. So that could be a catalyst for Google to spike higher. Google could easily get to about $3,500, even $4,000 by the time it splits, right? So at $4,000, a 20-1 split means that Google would be trading at $200, which is slightly more expensive than Apple. And Apple has been splitting a lot of times already, right? So I think it is entirely possible that Google will get back to above 3,000 and possibly even 4,000 by the time it is ready to split. So any investment in Google right now would be a good opportunity. And once again, I don't always cover fundamentals. I refer to the experts in fundamentals such as Tom Nash and Financial Education Jeremy, who are my two favorites. But for me, I watch their channels for fundamentals to form my opinion about whether or not to investing in a stock, but I also leverage technical analysis to find a good entry point for that stock. Even if I hold long term, I think the entry point could control the ROI a big deal. So that's what I usually look at. So this is it for this video. I hope you find the information helpful. Comment down below if you like this type of video, and I will continue to make more for you guys. I love trading Tesla and technology sector, but lately I find that after earnings, Tesla is just in a holding pattern, and we might need other stocks that has more volatility and opportunities, such as Google, Facebook, and Shopify. And so that's why I'm sharing with you guys my thoughts on those. Until the next video, bye.